You're live.
All right. Welcome. Namaskara. Once again, Cricket Vana is meeting after a long hiatus. We have Vinod and Sridhar with me, Narayan Kashyap. So we're in the fag end of the league stage of Cricket World Cup, Men's ODI World Cup 2023, hosted by India. I think hopefully everyone is following uh, very seriously. There's very few little games left. Three of the semi-final spots have been decided. It's India at number one for sure. South Africa and Australia will be 2-3 or 3-2, but they are going to play the next, one of the semi-finals. And the fourth spot is still open. It's between New Zealand, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and even Netherlands for that. Three other teams, England, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, are eliminated. So with that, we'll get into some more details of the other games, but I think the hot topic is the most recent game that ended today or tonight or yesterday, wherever you are. Australia beating Afghanistan, which generally wouldn't be called an upset or a miracle, but it was a miraculous innings. One man without any legs, winning with some balls to spare, scoring an individual 200 while chasing 291, with the score being at one time 91 for 7. So, Sridhar, our generous host, I think it's the first game he actually watched ball by ball throughout in this World Cup. He's been gung ho and he's been just talking and memeing and messaging about it all day today. So I'll start with him. What do you
I'll
want to say
join.
about it?
I'll join in a few minutes. You guys, the
Oh, okay.
esteemed
Okay.
panelists, can talk. But yeah, briefly, so excited about this game. Oh my God, divine intervention ಅಂತಾರಲ್ಲ ಅದಾಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಇವತ್ತು. ಅಭಿಮನ್ಯು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. Only thing is Abhimanyu in Mahabharata ends up tragically, but our Glenn Maxwell, oh my God, he was fighting till the last ball.
Yeah.
He was a rock star. I didn't even know that you can't use runners anymore. I was shocked. Poor thing, literally collapsed at one point of time. But yeah, amazing game. I can't stop talking about it. So I'll let you guys talk, and I'll join later.
All right. Vinod, what do you have to say? You're on mute.
Yeah, it was Maximus Maximum today. It was
Big show.
It was a big show, and most importantly, Maxwell has always been a person who carried that confidence. It was a matter of time he'll do it for RCB, we thought, but he did it for Australia first. So hopefully he brings it to RCB also very soon.
Yes.
And I think the essence that the cricket has changed recently is that to score against spinners and to score against good bowling, people had to use their feet before. And with the advent of T20 and the pace at which spinners bowl, people have stopped using their feet and can rely on their bat and their hand to hit within the crease. So Maxwell didn't require to come down the wicket to generate momentum or hit the speed. And Afghanistan bowlers tried to slow it down. They couldn't. And he was pretty much able to hit it right in the crease itself. So I think traditional bowling against unconventional batting. So the unconventional batting won the game, but for some reason Afghanistan were still going to the traditional bowling. They didn't bowl wide outside off stamp. They didn't stick to one side of the field, allowed him to play reverse sweep and stuff because he was already injured, right? So they didn't allow him to create a situation for him to stretch his feet. So I think nothing to take away from Maxwell. Great innings, but I think Afghanistan had real brain fart moments today.
Bowling was pretty poor after that. I think
For all they've done this World Cup today, they had really had. I think they had a brain fade moments, multiple of them today. Right now, being a single over bowled full length balls to him consistently got him 2 4s and 2 6ers.
I know. And also Carl, I mean, once he started having cramps and couldn't use his feet, they didn't bowl a little bit wide, make him stretch, make him bend.
Exactly.
They were giving half volleys or short balls straight at his body.
Mm. Yeah.
And then not to forget 2 drop catches. One of them was tough, but the other one was very
See,
easy.
catches will get dropped. See,
Yeah.
catches will happen.
Yeah.
But you from imagine 91 to 91 or 98 for 7 to 292. You had enough journey to play to the game, right? It's unbelievable that a single batsman with fantastic batting can keep winning against bowling so much. So let's not shy away the fact that Afghanistan really had lost their plot completely, and I think they were complacent. It's a matter of wicket. It's a matter of 1 wicket. They stayed, and that 1 wicket didn't happen because credit to Pat Cummins, right? Yeah, he believed that as a captain's knock he played, and he gave support to Maxwell. That was really fascinating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think great innings.
Who would have thought that 12 of 68 balls in a partnership of 200 will be talked about so much and in a positive way. I mean, so even
the one good thing about
when a time when there's 52 from 68 balls is considered a match losing knock.
Yeah.
But here, I think, the way Maxwell was going, I think Cummins need not have scored a single run actually. So, but yeah, I mean,
this is, I mean, the last thing about this game is that, I don't know if people will agree completely to me, but in many sport, for example, you have Michael Phelps or anybody, if you want to take the story and inspire any kids about how individual people are built and what character they're built out of, you need to you need to read about their life history of how they've come to this play. Cricket is one unique game. You can judge a character of a person from the beginning to end of the game. So if you just watch one game and how the game starts and how it ends, it's a good story for young generation to see of how that person navigates for the next 3 hours, right? So that character that Maxwell showed, that he can win the game by himself. So recently we Seattle fans had to bear the brunt of Puran against New York, right? So we were almost winning. We were there. We thought we will win this game. We had got a good score. We had the same Klassen and all those people who had scored the runs. So the good thing is today, who would have thought that at some time in history or in our generation itself, we would be able to sit in the US and say, hey, we have a corresponding game that we felt in the US where, like the Seattle Orcas were taken to the sink by Puran, and similar thing what does Maxwell did today.
Don't get the RCB fans started with all those badly memorable innings from a lot of people against RCB team anyway. From Russell to Faulkner to Shardul Thakur recently.
But I think what I'm surprised is, and we might be worried about Australia at this point, the momentum they're getting. As Indian fans, I mean, as cricketing fans, that's very good, right? We're going to have a real top 4. But even Warner is struggling while chasing, right? So there's something about these teams, right? Such great players.
Top order has been struggling anyway. I mean, if it wasn't for Maxwell in today,
Warner has had good games, right, before, but they've all been in the batting first, not chasing, right? Yeah. So that way, just to switch gears towards India team, that's where Rohit Sharma has been consistent on both directions, like starting to bat first and chasing. He's been really good, and he's been playing very selfless cricket.
Very selfless, yes. He's the one who set the tone first as a team's principle and said, this is where we want to go as a team's direction, more than a year ago. And then instead of just asking others to do that based on the role, he said, I'm going to take it up and do it so that it becomes easy. I mean, even the other day, right? I mean, the way he went with, 24 ball 40 and we were 91 for no loss or something in 10 overs. And then when the quick wickets fell and spinners actually did well, Maharaj bowled superbly. It gave so much time for Kohli and Iyer to actually settle down.
Yeah.
Imagine if they were 45 for 2 in 15 overs.
Yeah.
The story would have been completely different.
Mm.
But because we had that run cushion from Rohit, they were able to build the innings slowly and slowly. Yes, it was boring. Yes, it was frustrating with so many dots. Like, why would you give a maiden to Shamsi? Like it's unheard of by Indian batsmen in India. But I mean, it warranted that, and I think credit goes to Rohit first, and then of course to Kohli and Iyer for to patiently wait for it and then launch in the end. But yeah, so to wrap up this game, Maxwell, yes, I mean, I think enough said, enough written already it's not even 24 hours, but I'm sure there's tons of articles and speeches and this conversation and discussions happening. But one other superstar, if you can call him, who has been a big disappointment, not only in this World Cup, but overall in ODI format itself, is Rashid Khan. I personally don't know why. He's probably the all-time greatest T20 bowler. So what's the difference? Why is he struggling so much in ODI? He has never had I don't think he even had a 4-4 in
See, if you look at Afghanistan team as a whole, right? If you look, they have actually, even the 4 games they won, right? The games that they won those games in the window of a T20 window, right? If wickets fall sooner, it's in that window they have won. But mentally, can the bowling last 50 overs? That's the question you need to ask, right? And I think the batting has proven it, but the bowling has not. Right? They have done it in the 20-over window very well. They've captured the game and they've gone beyond it, but they can last the 50 overs. I don't know. And Rashid Khan's same question I wanted to ask is that, bowling 4 hours and turning the game is different than bowling 10 hours and turning the game, right?
right.
And
Is it the
typically to win a 10-over game as a bowler,
it can't be the question of stamina though, right? It's not
a stamina. It's
stamina about 4 versus 10.
In today's one days, you have to work in pairs, right?
Yeah.
The time is gone where Chamindawa should just single-handedly roll down a team, right? You have to work in pairs. If Rashid Khan doesn't get that counterpart, he's done in one days. If he doesn't get a Nabi or somebody controlling on the other side, then he looks lethal this side, right?
Yeah.
If the other end, somebody is just giving away runs, then he's not effective. He didn't give away that much run today, Rashid Khan.
No.
Right? He didn't give away the runs, but he didn't take wickets because his other partner were not containing at all. Like it was a joke. There was no they couldn't get a quiet period of window, right? Stuff. So
there was not a. I don't think there was a stretch of even 2 overs without a single boundary.
Yeah, I think your question is still right, but I think one day is always about working in pairs, and Rashid Khan didn't get that pair today this time.
And that's where Bumrah is so valuable. Yes, he's not taking bags of wickets, but without him, I don't think all the rest of the bowlers would have been so effective for India. And
so to be fair with Maxwell, right? You have to only beat him by speed and deceive him by speed. You can't play the angle game with him.
Yes.
Right? Because he knows the angles. He's pretty ambidextrous. He's pretty strong on both sides, right? So if you see how India gets Maxwell every time, even in the IPL, they play with his pace. They can just get him to do the inner cut on a wrong one and get bowled, or he can never get leg before. Very rarely he gets leg before, like because he's such odd positions, right? Switch shots and stuff.
They cut down the spinners, especially Dhoni and some of the smarter captains. They don't bring spinner at all unless he's going all the way till the end. Then you have to bring him back, and that's where I think the strength of Maxwell is. He's better suited for that number 3 or 4, which has given some good results for RCB already. I mean, I think he's found his home in RCB. He's struggled everywhere in Delhi and Punjab and everywhere, but I think RCB I think he can call that as his home franchise till his IPL career ends. And I think there's lots to dissect this innings in the upcoming days as well. I mean, this will be talked for months and years. As everyone knows, this is the first ODI double 100 in a chase, and Of course, it's the
He's a third in the World Cup, in World Cups,
third
right?
in the World Cup, but the other two by Chris Gayle and Guptill was in the first innings. This is the first ever double-hundred in chase. I mean, period. I mean, not just World Cup, but in ODI history. The highest before this was 185 by Watson against Bangladesh.
In World Cup, right?
Yes.
Because Fakhar Zaman was in the losing cause of 194.
That was not in the World Cup.
This was not in the World Cup, yeah.
Zaman's was not in the World Cup, but that was losing cause 193 or 4. Yeah. So.
Yeah, let's talk about. They got in Fakhar Zaman for the last game in Bangalore.
Yes. Yeah.
So did they bring Fakhar Zaman very late?
Yes, because he was so badly out of form for almost a year. There was even a lot of eyebrows raised when he was even selected in the.
What did Imamul Haq do that he got a place before Fakhar Zaman?
He was doing well, because I think before Abdullah, Imam and Fakhar was also they both were used as openers, and I think Imam did quite well in last few months building up to the World Cup, and Fakhar was very, very badly out of form. So there were even talks that he might not even be in the 15. And some were actually disappointed and surprised that he made it to the 15. But yeah, I mean, now that Imam was he injured? Why I don't remember why Imam was replaced by Fakhar in the middle of the World Cup. But boy, I mean, he has done wonders in the last 2 games he played, and especially in Bangalore against New Zealand, which changed the fortunes of the team.
I mean, the 21 runs Shodhi gave was the difference.
Yes.
I didn't understand why Kane Williamson wanted to finish off overs. Why did he add more people? You already met the criteria of Duckworth Lewis. The 20 overs were done, right?
Yes.
All you had to do was
got a fast bowler and delayed it or whatever.
Delayed it and something like this. Unfortunate. Like, this is where I want to bring to the topic of, in this World Cup, captains who are present the entire moment, and how the support staff work towards calculating all these things matters in a one day. I think we are underplaying that matters a lot. I think this is where,
I mean, especially in the World Cups, I think captain's confidence, captain's performance on the field, as well as all the strategy and the moves help. And you can go back every single World Cup. You can see that pretty much the winning team's captain was the best captain in that entire
the strongest captain.
Except personally, I feel McCallum was a better captain than Clark in 2015. Clark got lucky, but overall, I think it's been, I mean, including Morgan in 19, Ranatunga, Imran Khan,
Kapil Dhoni, all of them.
And so that way, I think Rohit is way ahead of all the captains, and I'm actually impressed by Tom Latham more than Kane Williamson.
Yeah,
from New Zealand. But my second best captain is Scott Edwards from Netherlands. He's
Edwards
from the front, both in keeping and batting, and the way he has managed his team and the way he has handled the press and media and everything, whether they won or lost, has been amazing. I mean, if he was born in any other country, I think he would have been a legend already. I mean, he's that good. I mean, if he was in England or Australia, whatever. But anyway, powers to Netherlands. Let's see, there is a unofficial European Cup going to happen today. Netherlands versus England. The two teams from Europe are going to play, and the winner will be announced as the European champion by Cricket Vana.
So the signs that cricket is progressing is relevant in this month, right? Cricket got selected to Olympics. Australia had to bat out of their skin to beat Afghanistan.
Exactly.
And England had to beat.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. And then England has to beat Netherlands to be relevant to the Champions Trophy. Yes. My God, this is like upliftment of cricket to the best.
And just 2 weeks ago, everyone was saying this is the most boring World Cup, or the ODI cricket is dying. I think all those calls are put to rest emphatically. This is turning out to be a great World Cup, no matter who wins. and there's been it's in a way a path breaking and a big oxygen cylinder for the ODI cricket in general. I think this particular World Cup has been. I think it has given a big lease of life to ODI cricket. Yes, it may not be the most important event moving forward, but until now, starting from 75, I think ODI World Cup has been the pinnacle of cricketing achievements.
And I think just to add to that, it's been very exciting, but I also want to add, before we wind down, I want to add two things about Indian cricket, right?
Yes.
We are a very nervous fan base, right? It's high time we see that. It's high time we tell that this is the most strongest team and the strongest performing team we have presented. It's a matter of them losing one game and they may not even have the World Cup in their hands, but that doesn't take away anything from what they performed, right? So, like at this point, we have to just say, be very proud of this team, that Indian team that we have.
Absolutely.
They have performed phenomenally well, and that's one thing. And second,
India's World Cup to lose, like I said. I mean, it's
India's World Cup to lose, right?
Exactly.
So that is one thing. Second thing is, the most disheartening part for me for this World Cup was about the air quality in tier 1 cities. The impression of the country is in a big impact right now. I don't know we'll be able to host many more sporting events like this big time. If your
tier 1 cities, was there any other city outside Delhi?
No, Dharmasala was the best. Lucknow was low. Bangalore's, because of the rain, Bangalore's PPI was very low. But I was surprised, Mumbai being near the beach, that hitting the smog, and farmers not agreeing to stop the burning. And Delhi is like horrible. Calcutta was horrible. Eden Gardens was horrible. And Delhi, just before this match that Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka played, didn't do their morning practice session.
Actually, Bangladesh too. Bangladesh skipped the entire session, session the previous day.
And
I was thinking they would just move the game. I mean, this was the last game in Delhi. They could have just moved it out of Delhi to.
It's horrible. Why do we do that?
Chennai, whatever. Yeah.
You should treat pollution same as how weather conditions, right? If a city is not able to get its pollution right, don't give them the opportunity to host it.
Yeah.
So lungs are a very important part of your body. It's a great example. If your sportsman cannot play there, that is the most. I don't care about the tickets. I don't care about what happened. But
let me ask you this: did the match continue because it was Bangladesh and Sri Lanka? Like what if it was India, or forget India? What if it was Australia or England? I think it would have been. I think there was a valid. That would have been a stronger reason.
It should have been.
They would have probably rescheduled it.
If any team had put their foot down and said we are not playing, the story would have been different. Because England.
And I think Bangladesh and Sri Lanka were not.
We played England and Delhi, right?
We are not going to play. I think India would have said, "Okay, don't play. We are going to share the points and move on."
We didn't play England, and we played England and Delhi, right?
England in Lucknow. Delhi was Afghanistan. India, Afghanistan.
So even England in their batch in Delhi complained about the conditions.
Delhi has been so poor. Yeah.
Delhi has been being the capital. That's one thing that has been very disappointing in this World Cup for me.
Yeah, and of course the ticketing and the fiasco about the delay. There's some of the grounds not getting filled up. Yeah, well, but that's BCCI for you.
Yes, plenty of organizational issues.
Yeah. I mean, but again, it's not the first time. I mean, this is the 4th World Cup India is hosting, and it's always been great in terms of at least the crowd and the ticketing and stuff. I mean, maybe not sophisticated way, but there was no problem of filling up the seats before. 2011 was a huge success in that way. So I don't know what happened now. And anyway.
Back on today's game,
go ahead.
To talk about Afghanistan's batting. Until that 20th over, I was actually rooting for them because I have many Afghan friends here in a couple of restaurants in Orange County that I go, and I was rooting for them. I told them, hey, if you bet on Afghanistan today, I think you'll win big because they're going to come back. And then 292. Ibrahim
They,
and Rashid.
they did
Ibrahim
100 runs in last 9 overs or so.
ಹೌದು ಇಬ್ರಾಹಿಂ ಅಂಡ್ ರಶೀದ್ did well. Rashid bowling ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೆ, but Rashid batting, I didn't know about any of these people. I mean, the fact that Ibrahim for second wicket partnership, those two people, they played very patiently for such a long time, for close to 36 balls, because like I said, this is the only match I've seen ball to ball.
By the way,
Stayed up all night till like
kudos to
9:30
Ibrahim
balls.
Zadran
Yeah,
for
Ibrahim and
scoring
Azmat.
the first ever World Cup century for Afghanistan.
Yeah, and by the way, among the various records that got created today, Maxwell's double century now he's the highest, the only Australian who hit a double century in a World Cup, right? Among other things, the seventh wicket
First one to hit a double century in chase.
in
But yeah,
chase,
it's the
and
first
first ever to score a double
first
century.
ever Australian man to hit 200, because the first ever 200 by anybody in the world was Belinda Clark by Australia. I mean, she's a
Oh, really? A lady? Okay.
cricketer.
Nice. So it's
Before
men's
Sachin Tendulkar.
Wow.
You know, the first ever 200 was Belinda Clark by us. She's an Australian woman, female
Nice.
cricketer. That was in the 90s.
Okay, so it's men's cricket, correct? Okay, and then the partnership for anything beyond the seventh wicket, I think this is the highest now.
Yes.
Seventh wicket. Well, the sixth wicket.
It actually beat Kapil and Kirmani's record in the World Cups.
Right, they are the number. Yeah, correct. Among other things, and ಏನೇನೋ ನೋಡಿದ್ನಪ್ಪ. I was just looking up on ESPN Cricket for second fastest ODI double ton, just behind Ishan Kishan ante. Bunch of things. 177 difference.
And I just saw all the team scores when there was individual 200s being scored. This is the first one with an individual 200 and the team total less than 300.
That remind me one more joke, because see, while not joke, I'm more fact trivia, because I'm into movies, as you all know, and music. So Kannadadalli Navatari anta movie bandittu Kumar Bangaram.
Yeah.
That him and Kirmani, the actual Kirmani, our Karnataka Kirmani, is playing. Okay, Partha is name, right? Partha scores 100 in that match, and the team would need like 101 to win, which means Kirmani didn't score at all. He was just giving the strike to Partha. That's a joke, Partha idvi. But if you think about it today, Cummins stood there like a wall, and ಇವನಿಗೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ 10 run 11 run ಅಲ್ವಾ, 11 runs, while this man hit 201. Oh my God, what a game it was. And of course, coming back to Afghanistan briefly, their bowling spell was really good first 18 overs, but once those catches got dropped, but again Windy already addressed it, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ನೂ 22 ಓವರ್ ಇತ್ತು, 200 runs itto, you can't control. There wasn't, like you said, there wasn't a single over without a boundary. Anyway, so I'll let you guys continue. Already 30 minutes.
Thanks
towards the rest and any forecasts, and what do you think?
So Afghanistan is still in the race. Afghanistan is still in the race if they can beat South Africa in their last game. So I mean, unfortunately they had the two toughest games in the end, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, who would have thought Afghanistan would even have a chance until their last game, right? I mean, it's a great. We should pat their backs for that, to be staying relevant. They beat Pakistan. They beat England. I wish they had beaten Bangladesh in their tour opener. That would have been a completely different. I think Afghanistan is definitely a far better team than Bangladesh. I would still say they're probably the second best Asian team. But I think Pakistan might disagree with me very soon. So let's see. So to wrap up the league games, we only have very few games left. Like tonight, England and Netherlands are playing the last game of the 8th round. Every team will play 9 rounds, right? So there are 10 teams in this league. So after tonight, there is only 5 games left. Every team will now play their last game, with New Zealand being above the rest of the 4th place wannabes in terms of run rate. I think their job is very simple. They beat Sri Lanka, they are in. I mean, I think it will be, again, you need another miracle pull down New Zealand if they win, right? But because I think the difference between New Zealand's win and Pakistan's win should be about 150 runs or so for Pakistan to overtake New Zealand. So, I mean, it's not impossible, but but again, because it's Bangalore and there's probably a weather threat. If New Zealand Sri Lanka gets washed out and they get only 1 point, then Pakistan does not have to worry about run rate. They just have to beat England and that's it. But England might have their own plans, because beating Pakistan will be a big incentive for them to stay relevant for the Champions Trophy. So yeah, so it's an interesting thing. I think for all practical purposes, we can say goodbye to Afghanistan. I don't think they can beat South Africa and also come above New Zealand in terms of run rate and everything. It's like I'm seeing here, it's like 0.7 difference of run rate, which is they have to win by a huge margin and also expect New Zealand to lose and Pakistan to lose. And so I mean, it's a big thing. But I think between New Zealand and Pakistan, we'll see one of them. And for the semifinals, what makes it more interesting is India is supposed they have slotted Wankhede as the Indian semifinal game, except when it's against Pakistan, because Pakistan will never be allowed to step into Mumbai. If Pakistan comes into 4th place, then India will play Pakistan in Eden Gardens, Kolkata. Otherwise, any other team, India will stay in Wankhede and then hopefully proceed to Ahmedabad for finals. Personally, I would prefer Eden Gardens, whether it's Pakistan or not, because Wankhede and Bangalore are more like a lottery. It depends on the toss and just one freak innings like this with 150 strike rate by anybody. Match can be. I mean, it can be advantage India too. I mean, if Rohit Sharma stays for 40 overs, then game over for anyone anyway. So it can be either way, but I would rather have the actual skill versus skill than this lottery, takeover. So let's see. But Australia, South Africa, I'm very much looking forward to it. South Africa have some more than one revenge to take care of, because they have lost lots of. I mean,
where is the game? Where is the game? That game?
It depends. It depends if Pakistan comes, right? I mean, if it's New Zealand, then Australia, South Africa go to Eden Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's India, Pakistan, then they go to Eden Gardens, and Australia, South Africa will be in Wankhede, which will be a firecracker again. With both the teams hitting so hard, and both the teams are not so good in chasing, especially South Africa. But Wankhede is so good for chasing. You just need one freak innings like this. I mean, it can be Miller again. It can be Maxwell again. Or I don't know if Maxwell will be fit for the. I think he will sit out for the Bangladesh game based on the cramp he had yesterday. But I'm sure they will make him fit to come back to the semifinals. But Australia, South Africa semifinal will be a cracker. I think more than India, New Zealand, or even India, Pakistan. India, Pakistan might be hyped for various reasons, but I think the quality of the match will be poor. Even when Pakistan wins, I think India will just play poorly, but most of the time Pakistan will play poorly. Who knows? But India, New Zealand, I think, has its own fear, because New Zealand has been the bogey team for India for a long time. But we finally were able to beat them in the league. Hopefully we beat them again in the semi-final. You never know. But I would rather play in Eden Gardens than Wankhede for that. Just a quick round of predictions. Sridhara, who do you give me the two finalists?
India and Australia.
All right. And what happens there?
I'm rooting for India, of course, but based on what I saw today, it's gonna be tough. But our boys, man, I'm very happy with our bowling and fielding. I mean, our batsmen were overall they're always good, but our bowlers, the trio, Bumrah, Siraj, and Shami,
Exactly.
I think we are the best team. I mean, the way our boys have
No,
played, we are by far, the best team. ಆ ತಲೆಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ದಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. So as long as
but I think, I mean, it can be one just freak show, suddenly, I mean, toss or one freak innings or a freak injury, and, suddenly you're looking at, anything can happen, right? I mean, it's a knockout game. You can be 9-0 getting into the semifinals. You will be 9-0. I mean, I really don't expect
I
India
mean, yeah, India too. The only game is what, India and Netherlands.
India, Netherlands.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
the only good thing about having India, South Africa, and Australia in the finals is that if any of these people play right, you can genuinely say the cliche statement, right? Hey, who's good on that day wins,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Whereas
The
traditionally, what
best
has been
team
that
won.
traditionally, the other times you'll say that we are saying it for the sake of saying it, right? Because we
Yeah.
know when Ponting's Australia team was like ridiculously strong, right?
Mhm.
So
We
it's
didn't
it's
really
a,
feel bad losing to Australia in the 2003
so
final.
with
We
Ponting and
knew.
stuff. Today, it's genuinely going to be the fact that who's good on that day is right. In fact, I think you have to play this as 10-10 over innings. So there'll be 10-10 over innings. So we should see when we as audience were watching the match to assess the game, we have to say who won the first 10 overs, who won the second 10 overs, who won the third 10 overs. And we can say if you
It's like the test match sessions.
It's like I mean, you're saying it's like baseball, right? Baseball at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, so ಈ ತರ ಫಸ್ಟ್ 10 overs ಯಾರು ಗೆದ್ರು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಅಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. Did we take more wickets or did we control? So we should just start judging it and we'll get the flow of the game. So
Yeah. I mean, you're right, because let's say if Australia wins the World Cup, that means they have beaten every single team, because their only two losses were their first two games against India and South Africa. And if they beat South Africa again in the semi-final, that covers for it. And then they're most likely to beat India in the finals. Then that means Australia actually beat all the teams. Better than India, right? Because India beat all the 9 teams in the league game, but Australia actually beat all the 9 teams, including the 2 knockout games against the 2 best teams in the table, India and South Africa. So no one will doubt if Australia wins. South Africa, the same thing. They would have beaten Australia twice, because they already beat Australia in the league game. And then they have to beat India in the final. I think, unless India loses to New Zealand or Pakistan in the semifinals. But if India wins, then yeah, I mean, they have been the best team. Nobody will ever question. In spite of this being hosted in India, that, I mean, there could be that asterisk all the time, but they have been the best team. It doesn't matter, right? I mean,
We hosted in '87 too, but of course we are a better team.
Yeah.
And,
So yeah, you're right. I mean, any of these 3 are okay. I don't want, even if New Zealand comes to 4th, I don't want the 4th place team to win this World Cup, because they have been like half and half. They won. If you look at the table, they're like 4-4 so far in the 8 games. So losing 50%.
Well, having said that, the DRS game, I would not consider that as a loss.
That's true. Yeah.
You should give it. I mean, New Zealand.
I mean, anything could have happened. We can look at it like, thank God, we don't have the record that Pakistan actually chased 400 runs, right? What if they actually chased it that day? Then, that would have been another big record.
Right?
They already have the record of the biggest chase in the World Cups already. I mean, that was an amazing innings too. I mean, yes.
I definitely want, just since you brought, I definitely want an investigation to be done on the DRS calibration. I think there is something to do with all the stadiums becoming LED lights, right? And the stadium switching off the lights in between, and the positioning of the cameras in the India stadium. I want somebody to investigate and prove me wrong that that's not impacting the DRS calibration. There is some serious mistakes in DRS.
What's the impact of the LED lights?
So all play into your camera angles, right? How the lighting is, how the camera angle is, how the pitch is, how the things, all of them play into calibration. It's a margin of error that you have, 2% margin of error, right? So I think when you do all these changes, you change your camera positions because of the lights and stuff, that it's not glare on your camera and all this stuff, right? So if they've done some changes to the camera position and they're not calibrated it well, I think there is something, because especially the ball pitching closer to the leg side and going down the leg, I have my own doubts it is even clipping the stumps. The umpire decision calls I've been seeing those replays again and again. There is some DRS. So the good thing about it is that it's the same for every team. So it's evenly screwed up. So that way, so there's no bias or there's no problem.
Well,
right?
it depends if you take the review or not, right? I mean,
I mean,
Because
that's okay. But the calibration is consistently wrong somewhere.
yes,
I personally believe there is a calibration error. You have to seriously investigate that, right?
will it happen though? I doubt it.
I don't know, but I doubt it. But yeah.
Hey, by the way, I meant to say DLS with regards to New Zealand and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the runs calculation. DRS is for the
By the way,
decision.
since we finished an Afghanistan game today, right, we have to really try to put ourselves in their shoes. Most of the players in these camps were all in the refugee camp in Pakistan.
Yeah.
And in the camp, they were seeing Pakistani play cricket. And when they could watch outside, the camps were behind a fence. And they across the fence, they used to watch Pakistani people play cricket. And these people were not allowed to go play with them, right? And once it's after the Soviet Union things stabilized, people moved back to their provinces in Afghanistan after the war, and they started setting up and playing cricket in open fields and coming up there.
It's been one of the
So coming
best
back,
things
starting to
actually
learn about the
rise
game
above.
learn about the game in your refugee camp, go back to your province, come back and play, and then beat Pakistan is a big deal. You
It
can
was
tell.
the biggest win for them. I mean,
Yeah.
they beat England 2 days ago.
Mhm.
Yes, they celebrated, but you should if you haven't seen it yet. I mean, not just you two, but anyone listening, go and look up the Afghanistan team celebration after they beat Pakistan.
Yeah.
It is now by far, I think they still want to save it as the greatest achievement from their team so far, right? So beating Pakistan was a huge thing. The way Rashid Khan was dancing on the table just shows. I mean, he has won multiple trophies throughout the world, and he's praised for his bowling achievements already. But I mean, the way he celebrated with the Afghanistan team. By the way, Jadeja is their mentor as well, and Jonathan Trott is in there. Yeah, I mean, they've been doing really, and I think of all the teams who have been given this status and risen up, I think Afghanistan is probably one of the fastest team to grow in such a short span of time to be like,
Yeah.
who would have thought? I mean, no other team, I think, has been considered like, wow, in the last phase of the league stage to still be considered for the semi-final spot.
I wanted this game to be one for Jonathan Trott for all that happened, and he faced in Ashes that he had to walk midway for his mental issues and stuff, and he gave up the game. And it all happened in Australia where he was booed. A lot of things happened to Jonathan Trott when he left cricket, right?
Yeah.
So his journey, the Jonathan Trott, the coach journey has been very interesting. He's a South African who grew up in South Africa, moved to England, started playing cricket, played a lot of domestic cricket, right? And then was doing really well when he went to Ashes, and he landed up having mental health issues. And when he openly spoke about it, that he needed a break, people started making fun of him. When he came back and he played there again, he was booed and he was done in Australia Ashes. He flew back again and then came back briefly for a year to play, and then he just retired. So he went through a lot.
And I think he's probably the only international coach not to have stepped into that country ever. Trott has not been to Afghanistan at all, because Afghanistan team has never played in Afghanistan against any other country. No country has traveled there. Most of their home games are in India, by the way, if you don't know. They have hosted Ireland and Netherlands, and even played Bangladesh in Dharamshala, Delhi, and all the northern Indian places. So they call North India as their home, actually. So no wonder they beat good teams in Delhi. They beat England in Delhi. They beat Pakistan in Chennai. So I think they've been. It's like you can almost call them a co-host, because it's their home grounds as well. So it's an interesting.
I think it's already time for us. So let's.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So
next episode we will spend some time on Rachin Ravindra.
Yes,
we should. And
yeah,
we'll catch up on follow up on reviewing other games, or we'll see.
Yeah. Let's meet soon. Maybe soon after the final league games, before the semi-finals.
Just before the semi-finals, yes.
Yeah. Thank you, folks.
All right, thanks guys for coming on short notice. It was a game. It was a heroic act that needed to be celebrated today, and I'm glad this is the first time I'm coming on this show after very long time, but yeah, but thank you.
You've been in the backstage for a long time now. Now you're on.
But as
No,
you
I
can
think
visibly,
you did a good thing by bringing both of us here to talk about
Yeah.
cricket, because the other friends who are there were making us jealous because they are in the stadiums there.
oh
They're
yeah, true.
watching the games
Vinay
there.
and Somana
Everyone in
are
India,
actually
Vinay,
watching
Sonu, and some of
Everybody's watching
Vinod's
games there.
cousins.
the others. Yeah, yeah. So cool. Keep
You guys.
watching, and I'll probably after yesterday, anything can happen today. I'll probably go watch today's game as well. So we'll see what happens. I'm cheering for Netherlands today, though.
Cool.
All right, guys. Thank you. And ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರಿ ಹೊಯ್ಸಳ ಬಾಲವನದ ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ವನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬರ್ತೀವಿ ಸೆಮಿಫೈನಲ್ಸ್ ಮುಂಚೆ. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.